Particles are minuscule bits of matter that make up all matter. The most well-known are the proton, electron, and neutron that make up the atom. All particles are classified by three properties: electric charge, mass, and spin, and all have a specific role to play in our universe. There are two main types of fundamental particles: fermions and bosons. Whether a particle is classified as a fermion or boson is determined by its particle spin. A particle can either have an integer of 0, 1, 2, etc., which makes the particle a boson, or an odd half integer, 1/2 to 3/2, etc., which makes the particle a fermion. Bosons also include all the force carriers for each of the fundamental forces of nature. These are particles that give rise to the fundamental forces. For example, gluons are bosons exchanged between quarks that cause the strong force. Some particles also have a positive or negative electric charge. We call these charged particles. All charged particles have something called an electric field around them. If a positively charged particle, such as a proton, enters the electric field of another positively charged particle, it will be repelled, while when a negatively charged particle, such as an electron, enters the field of a proton, they will be attracted to each other. Every single type of particle has its own designated mass. This mass is determined by how the particle interacts with the Higgs field. For example, the photon doesn't interact with the invisible field at all and glides through it effortlessly, meaning the photon has no mass while a proton is slowed by a field a certain amount and therefore has a certain amount of mass. Protons, neutrons, and electrons are the three particles that make up one of the most basic building blocks of matter, the atom. The center of the atom, called the nucleus, is made up of a certain number of protons and neutrons. Much smaller particles called electrons will often orbit the nucleus of an atom. Every single atom can be classified as a certain element on the periodic table of elements according to the number of protons it has. Not only can we change the element of an atom by changing the number of protons, but we can also change the electric charge of an atom by changing the number of electrons. A stable atom usually contains the same number of protons and electrons, keeping the electric charge neutral because protons have a positive charge and electrons have a negative charge. But if you take electrons away from an atom, you can give it a positive charge, and if you give an atom electrons, you can give it a negative charge. Atoms with an electric charge are called ions. Atoms can also have differing numbers of neutrons. The number of neutrons in an atom is an isotope, and there are many different isotopes an atom can have.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out Mormino. Now for some bloopers.
For example, the photon doesn't interact with the invisible field at all and glides through it effortlessly, meaning the photon has no mass while a proton is... A stable atom usually contains the same number of protons and electrons, keeping the electric charge Atoms with an... You're so weird. Gosh.